It's a brand new year, and with it comes a brand new real estate market. The rules are changing, the trends are shifting, and if you're thinking about buying a home, you need to know how to navigate this landscape. So in this video, I'm going to explain exactly how to buy a home the right way in 2025 so you can stay ahead of the game while making the smartest move for your future. What's up, guys? Anthony Esposito with eXp Realty, your local real estate expert right here in the Cleveland, Ohio area. And if you're planning on buying a home this year, or you have a home to sell, I'd love to help you out like I have many others who are reaching out to me every single week that are just like you, looking to navigate this market the right way. You can contact me directly here, or you can go in the description below, use one of the methods I have listed there. So let's get into the right way of buying a home in 2025. So the very first thing that you want to do above everything else, you need to choose a realtor that is right for you. Now, I say that because there's a couple different reasons of how we can benefit you before you start diving into all the other details that comes with purchasing a home. So first and foremost, you need to be comfortable with whoever you are working with. You need to have that trust that the agent has your best interest at hand, and they are going to work essentially their ass off to help you out and do what's right throughout the whole process. Now, yes, experience matters. I totally agree with that. I totally understand that. But just like every other job, and just like myself, I was a fresh agent at one point where I didn't really know a lot about what was going on. Don't write them off, because I had experienced agents helping me out and guiding me through the whole process. So ask the question, if they are a younger agent, if they have like a mentor or somebody who is helping them out to ensure that you're getting the proper skills needed, especially now with purchasing a home. And with those skills, what are their niches? There's a saying that I absolutely love, and it's a jack of all trades is a master of none. Now, if somebody has specific niches, like one of mine is new builds, because of my experience that is with it. I know the ins and outs with that. Some agents may not know exactly that, like the new build process. Some agents may only work a specific area, and they don't know the market trends and how everything's going in another area, and that's okay. They are niching down and they are focusing on what they find to be like their area of expertise, what they enjoy doing, the clients they enjoy helping. There's nothing wrong with that, but ask them about that skill set. Ask them how well they know the market, because whatever area you're looking in, that agent, that realtor, they better know the market. You need to know what neighborhoods are like flying off the shelf when they hit the market, which ones are a little bit slower, what style homes are going to be selling faster. All of this is going to play a factor when you actually start looking at homes, because it's going to determine timeline of stuff, how quickly you have to make an offer, how aggressive you may have to go when you put the offer in, or is there going to be a little bit of leeway that you can work on? There's so many different factors, and it's okay to talk to multiple agents. That's not a problem at all, but ultimately pick one that you are most comfortable with. The next step that you want to take is starting to look into the financial side of things. And this is what ties in with speaking with a realtor before you end up going through this process, because we work with multiple lenders. We have lenders that we do deals with on a consistent basis, and it's simply because they can close on time. They communicate with our clients. That's a huge one right there in itself. And they also have different incentives. They also have, different costs that are associated with them. So yes, shop around for lenders. I know lenders, they don't want to hear that, but shop around with 2 or 3 lenders. And I say that because again, just like a agent, you need to feel comfortable with that lender. And keep in mind, just because if one of them has a slightly lower rate, like we're talking if you got a 7% from one and then you get a 6.95% from another, you're looking at that and you're like, well, that's a lower rate. I'm going to go with that one. They may have higher closing costs. They may, like their fees that are associated with it, they may be higher and it may actually not be saving money at all. And then also, what is their like closing like? Are they gonna guarantee that you're gonna close in 30 days? Or is this gonna be a situation where they have bad communication, they're not getting the paperwork done, and then closing is delayed? That can happen. I'm not saying it always does, but that can happen. But you wanna find out exactly what your budget is. That's the big thing with the financing. If you have to take out a mortgage, you need to know exactly what you can afford. And when they give you that top amount, they will be able to give you an estimated monthly cost of what you're looking at. If you're not comfortable with it, don't go to that limit. It's okay. You got to be comfortable with what you're about to spend every single month on a mortgage, which includes taxes, and possibly mortgage insurance might be tied to that. But you need to know these numbers and feel comfortable with them. And with your credit score, the higher credit score you have, the lower the interest rate's going to be, because they look at you as a less of a risk compared to someone who is making just the bare minimum of a credit score, which is perfectly fine. Just be prepared that your interest rates are going to differ depending on your credit score of how things are going. Plus, they may require a little bit more money down possibly. You may have to pay a little bit extra to end up doing that. And with the finances, do you have that down payment? If you're going FHA, you can have a down payment gifted to you. But if you have a conventional loan, you need to have that down payment. The minimum of a conventional is 3%. So you got to at least have 3% down to put on the house itself. That's not including closing costs that are going to be factored in. Those vary. So I can't even give you a price on that because those are varying all the time. And then with the new rules that are in place, where before a agent opens a door for you to see a house, there's a couple documents that we need in place. There's the consumer guide that needs to be put in place, but the big one now is the buyer broker agreement, which states you are willing to pay to have representation by that agent for X amount, whatever you agree upon. There are ways to work it where sellers may have concessions that they're giving you. They may pay that compensation for your agent. In my area, around the Cleveland area, a lot of sellers are still offering some form of concession, which is nice, especially for if you are a first-time home buyer. But you just need to keep in mind, it's not guaranteed. You may have to pay the full amount out of pocket. There may be a little bit that you have to pay out of pocket, but it is an added cost that you have to consider with all of your financing. You're going to have earnest money that you're going to have to put down, but that comes off of the closing cost at the end after the offer is made. But again, you got to have the money in the bank. You got to have minimum credit score. A higher credit score is obviously better. If there are two of you that are going on the mortgage, keep in mind they are going to go based off of the lower credit score. So all that ends up playing a factor, but this is the next crucial step to start the process, because ultimately you don't want to look at a house that you can't afford and end up falling in love with it, because it's just going to cause depression. It's going to make you just not feel very good. You're going to feel horrible because you just fell in love with a house and come to find out you can't afford it. So now you got your realtor, you got your finances in place. Now you got to really start looking at the market and hammering down the time frame of what is to come and a realistic time frame. And I get it. Some of you may have job relocation. Some of you may absolutely need to be in a house like yesterday. and it becomes crunch time. But you gotta frame everything out. What your ideal time is to end up moving into the house, and is it gonna be feasible with the area that you're looking in? Now, in the Cleveland area, there's a lot of people that want to get into my hometown of Brunswick. Brunswick is a huge hotspot, and the amount of homes that have been for sale, it doesn't even come close to the amount of people that are trying to move into Brunswick. So it is essentially scarce. And Medina County as a whole, it hasn't had many home sales compared to surrounding counties over the past year. So Medina County in the past year, we maybe have 1,800 some home sales compared to, say, Cuyahoga County, that's just above us, and they're in the 12,000 range. So it is very scarce, low inventory when it comes to specific areas. Now, we do have the most new listing month coming up, which is the month of March, which that is awesome. Spring obviously is the kickoff essentially to the real estate, industry itself, when we really start ramping things up. It may not be the best time to buy. And I only say that because prices start going up. So the most expensive months in order from the most to the least is May, June, July, April. Those are the most expensive months to buy a home. Technically speaking, if you look at statistics, the best time to buy a home is right now. It's during the winter. The caveat to it is that there's not much inventory. And it's the best time to buy because people who sell in the winter here in Northeast Ohio and a lot of other markets, typically they have to sell because it's a need. It's not because they want to. This is an absolute need, like I have to get out of this house because of, whatever, throw in whatever situation that's out there. I'm being relocated to a different state for work. They have to sell. What that means for you as a buyer is it gives you a little bit more negotiating edge on it because there's not time to just sit on the house, because some people will sell their house and they can take it or leave it. It doesn't matter if it doesn't sell. They're just like, hey, if it sells, it sells. If not, then we'll just stay here longer and no big deal. Typically, people who are selling in the winter months, they have to get out of that house. So you're going to have more negotiating power, and a lot of times you can get a little bit better pricing that comes with it. But just take the advice of your agent, of the area that you're looking in, and plan accordingly. There's got to be a strategy put in place to find that next home. Not a house. We don't want you to find a house. We want you to find a home. And if it ends up being a forever home, then that's great. That's fantastic. But there has to be a strategy put in place, and timing and market trends, they all play a factor with that as well. Now, as you're starting to get that strategy in place with your agent, what is it that you exactly want with your home? What are the non-negotiable, your absolute needs? Write all that stuff down. And this could be stuff that you do prior to even finding your agent. But get your needs written down. Like these are the absolute must. We will not veer from this. And then also have your list of your wants. Again, if you have a bigger area that you're willing to move, it might be a little bit easier to find a home sooner than compared to you just want to be in one city with one specific style house. Like, let's just say you want to be in Medina, Ohio with a ranch home around 2,500 square feet, 4 beds, 3 baths, 3.5 acres. That's going to take some time to find. And that may be something where a conversation may be had that you might want to look into purchasing land and going with a builder. So depending on how specific you're looking can determine how long this process is going to take. But make sure you have everything written down. Do not veer from your absolute non-negotiable must-haves with the house, because I'm telling you right now, you will end up regretting it. I'm in that situation. There's areas where I let go when I was looking for a house, and it's almost on a daily where specific things with my current home, it drives me nuts. I cannot stand it. But it is what it is at this point. It's just frustrating. So now I just want to hurry up and fast forward to you found the house. Now it's time to make that offer. And depending on when the timing is during this year, depending on the home, the location, is there any other offers that are in, that's going to determine how competitive of an offer you need to make. Now, we don't want you to overpay. And if you're taking out a mortgage, technically, unless you have some sort of appraisal gap in place, you're not overpaying for a house. Lenders are only going to issue whatever the appraised value is at. But find out if there are other offers, because you may have to go a little more aggressive if you really want that house, if there is another offer that's on the table. One of the key things that I can tell you is make sure your agent talks to the list agent of that house and finds out what is the most important thing to the sellers, because it's not always price, believe it or not. Sometimes they would rather have a fast close, like a 2-week close, because they have to get out of the house. We don't know their situation, the seller's situation. Everyone is different. Sometimes, yes, money is the main concern, but that's not always the case. Sometimes they want to work with a specific title company. Do what you have to do to make that offer competitive and make it stand out. Can you come down in price? Depending on the house, yes. You can come down off that list price a little bit. It happens. I will tell you right now, though, if you come down too far, most cases, it ends up getting straight up just rejected. There is nothing else. There's no counter. It's like a slap in the face to the seller. So if you feel something is like $40,000 too high, it's probably not good to come down that far. Now, I'm not speaking of luxury homes. That's completely different ball game when it comes to negotiating skills. I am talking the average home, kind of median home in the areas. If you come down that low, more than likely it's straight up getting rejected. But you gotta make sure your agent is actually competent, making sure that whatever you offer is a proper price. And sometimes those homes may be tens of thousands of dollars overpriced. And that's a different conversation. You might not even want to go see that house if it is way too high in the price, because the sellers, they're not coming down that low. I can almost guarantee every single time they will not do that. And keep in mind, you're putting that offer in, get a home inspection every single time. Do not skip those. Do not. I've gotten too many years of experience with construction. I'm telling you right now, get those home inspections no matter what happens. Now, the next part of the process comes with the inspection and the appraisals, and that inspection is happening. You're getting it done. Don't nitpick on the little stuff. Like if there is a cover missing for an outlet or a switch, just leave that out. Just make a mental note of it, and it's something that's quick and easy for you to slap on. You want to look at the major issues that may come up in a home inspection. Like, is there mold? Obviously, if there's mold, you want to get that remedied. That is going to be a negotiating tool every single time. Get the seller to end up, at least, paying for that, covering it, or at least putting money in escrow. All the major health hazard stuff, I have never once had a seller try to fight on that. Typically, they don't even know it's there, and they get almost like a shock and awe, like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And they will get it handled. Is there radon? Make sure you get a radon test, by the way. Is there radon that's in the basement? The big stuff. Worry about the big stuff. And don't get discouraged if on that home inspection, the inspector's like, hey, the AC, the furnace, it's old. It's near its like lifespan. I don't know how much longer this thing has. Don't get discouraged about, that stuff failing. At that point, if it's not already offered, maybe negotiate for a home warranty, because home warranties will help you tremendously on getting those replaced whenever they do end up going. Because right now, on average, it's about $4,000 for each unit, furnace or the AC. So, and that's an average. I've seen it higher, I've seen it lower. But always focus on those main issues when negotiating for the removal of contingency after the home inspection. And then with the appraisal, it's going to be what it's going to be. Every appraiser is different. You might get a window appraisal. You might get a full-on appraisal. Are you going to be a part of that? No, you're really not. The bank's going to send out. They're going to do their thing. Me as a listing agent, I like to meet the appraiser at the house and make sure everything is on the up and up. But the appraisal process, keep in mind, it can come in low. And let's just say that it does come in low. Let's say you offered $400,000 on a house. The appraisal comes in at, we'll call it $395,000. Your next step is going to be, okay, well, I have a mortgage out. The appraisal came in under. We're going to have to do this at $395,000 because we don't have an appraisal gap and you are unwilling to pay the appraisal gap. 99% of the time, the seller is going to accept that, and here's why. When a house goes back on market in the state of Ohio, by law, if we are asked why it went back on market from another agent, we have to disclose that information. So if we have to disclose that the house came under, like it was under appraised, that's going to be told to the next potential buyer. So more than likely, if the appraisal comes in under of what you offered, there's going to be an addendum wrote in place, and it's going to be adjusted to that appraised value. Now, you also want to focus in on the closing aspect throughout the whole process, but especially after the inspection's done. Let's say you got the removal of contingency signed. So next is all behind the scenes stuff, and you are one step closer and moving towards that closing date. When it comes to closing on a mortgage loan, one thing I always tell my clients, and if you didn't know about this, do not make big purchases. Don't go buy a car, lease a car, don't go buying furniture. Anything that you think is going to be a big purchase or you have any doubts, talk to your lender. Let them give you the yes or no, because those underwriters, they're monitoring your accounts and seeing what you are doing, what you have been doing. And if they see a big purchase, and I've heard stories, I haven't had it happen with my clients, but I've heard stories of somebody getting a car like a day before closing day, and it drops the whole deal. They get denied. Just like that. It's done. Finished. But don't make your big purchases. And then things to keep in mind when closing does happen. You're going to fill out all your paperwork. Title's going to send you all that stuff. Title is going to give you your closing cost. This is going to include your down payment, any fees that you need to pay, like if you got to pay part of your representation with your agent, if you got to pay any part of that commission, that's going to be included in it. Everything, and it's going to be broken down to the T, every little detail of what you are paying closing cost on. Typically, that ends up getting wire transferred to title, or you have to go get a certified check from your bank and give it to the notary whenever you sit down for that. But working up to that closing cost time, there's going to be, there's a lot that happens in the beginning, and then it just kind of, quiets down, and there's a calm. And you're going to get your phone call to meet with the notary, sign all the paperwork. It's not as bad as what it used to be. And again, you're gonna have that final amount of what you are going to owe. Drop a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on the whole buying process. And if you are one of those people that are planning on buying or selling and you need help navigating the market, I have people just like you reaching out to me every single week. I'd love to help you out as well. You can contact me directly here, or you could use one of the methods I have listed in the description below. If you got any value from the video, be sure to smash that like button. It's greatly appreciated. And if you haven't already, click subscribe, turn notifications on so you can stay up to date on all my future videos that I have coming your way.